What I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a quick run through on what virtualization, talk about virtualization because it's becoming so popular, and it's because it's going to become such a force now in the IT world and what we're doing. Obviously, it's probably a good idea just to show you, let's say, 10, 15 minutes how it works, or I have some, let's say, virtual machines here on my machine here, and just to give you an idea of, let's say, for an infrastructure purpose, where virtualization would come in and how it looks. Now, for instance, for desktop purposes, for desktop server purposes, let's say within Windows or Linux, we have a few providers. We've got a thing called Oracle Virtualbox. And obviously, let's say VMware, I've got, let's say, which are one of the market leaders, have got a virtualization technology. Obviously, it's called from Vmware. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start, let's say, just so you can see, let's say, some of what the competition has out there. I'm going to start a VMware. I'm going to actually bring up an Oracle database on a server from my own machine. Okay, so I'll just give you an idea of when an sysadministrator talks about virtualization and what it looks like. You guys will have some sort of concept or an idea. Because what I've found in the past is that I pretty much delivered this training for about a year and a half, and it kind of struck me after, let's say, until some people started talking to me and asking me questions about virtualization, that for some people it was very difficult to conceptualize, and when they see it in action, it's a lot easier to run and work. Okay, so I'm going to do now is I'm going to sit down here at my desktop. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up a virtual server. So I'm going to go to my Windows Explorer. So if this is a Windows Server 2012, for instance, it would look very, very similar from an administrative point of view. Okay. So we've got a thing, VMware, I've got, let's say, a thing called a Vmware Player, which is a freeware. Don't particularly like talking about competitor products, but just so you know what you're up against when you're out there in the selling on a day-to-day basis. So all of a sudden, here's, let's say, their interface. Okay, what has it got? This is a stripped-down version of what their, let's say, administrative management console might look like. The moment, all of a sudden, they want me to make some updates. I am not going to do that this time. Not for the purposes of today, anyway. So what have I got? What's this? Okay, so all of a sudden I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. I've actually got 4 servers sitting on my desktop, sitting on within an application on my desktop. So, what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to start a server. So let's try this. See if we can bring up an older version of Oracle. So all we do is we go like this. We double click. And obviously, what I'm doing now is ignoring the removal of the devices messages. Just click on OK. As you can see, what I'm doing is I'm bringing up a server within a server. Okay, so a lot of people wouldn't have seen this before. Okay, have you guys actually seen this in practice before? Pardon? No.
No, I'm asking Ken now.
Did you? You obviously you worked in the field, dude. So you've seen this coming up before. But in the past. Okay. Yeah. So all of a sudden we've got Windows 2000 coming up.
So there's a database server.
It could be a database server if you wanted. All of a sudden, boom! I've got a log on. So what am I doing? What does the operating system read it?
NT.
Yeah, it's older Windows technology. So Control Alt Insert. Click on OK. So it's going to connect off somewhere. These are, let's say, network connections. For the Oracle VirtualBox, which I'm going to bring up also, we're going to see something similar. Okay? So if it comes, that's okay. Don't worry about that.
Just services.
It's just services. It's coming up, it's coming up, it's coming up. But you see now what the concept of the virtualization is that all of a sudden the beauty from one particular place, I can bring up a server that quickly. And just think of, let's say, you've got a very powerful machine, you'll have multiple servers. And when we're talking about, let's say, for instance, in a Solaris operating system environment, it's even more granular, it's even more powerful. So it's thinking, it's thinking, it's thinking. Let's just maybe.
If I put the iPad on the computer to do synchronization or something.
I'm not sure. Okay, so all of a sudden, what have we got? Wow, we've got server within a server. So what do we got on here? Wow, let's have a look. Oh, so I'm using a different interface. So your administrator might do something like this to bring up configuration. So here we have Oracle Enterprise Management Console. So we have an Oracle product. It's coming up. So what do I want to do? I want to launch the standalone database. Click OK. So off we go. Here's the Enterprise Manager. It looks very different these days. We've got 11C. It's about a 7, 8, 9-year-old version of Oracle. So obviously what I can then start to do is go in and manipulate the database from the beauty of this console. So I hope this, let's say, shows you the, let's say, the versatility and the power of virtualization. We can do these sort of things. What else is on here? Oh, I have IBM WebSphere. If I want, I can bring up WebSphere here, which is a competitor's middleware application. Okay, so you can see how versatile, let's say, VMware is. So what I'm simply going to do now is because, well, I could try to, we have another thing called Oracle Virtualbox. So this is our proprietary offering. Anybody?
Just on the top, yeah, just go right.
Go right here?
Yeah.
Yep, sorry. You see now the system's going slow.
Okay.
Oh, here we are. Okay, Virtualbox. Now we're going to bring up Oracles. I hope my system doesn't crash. So what we're going to do is we're going to attempt to bring up the Virtualbox.
Is it running on this system or is it running on some other system?
No, this is my system. This is my laptop right here.
It's acting like a server.
Yeah, so it's acting like a server. I'm going to go OK. Now, I don't have any images on this. However, okay, so as you can see, so it's the same concept again. So the Oracle, so let's say we drag this down. What do we want to do? We want to add. Yeah. So for instance, what am I going to add? I can, let's say, pull this down here, okay? I can go, let's say, oh, Sun ZFS storage appliance. Oh, I have an image here, which is a Linux system with a demonstration of ZFS dtrace analytics, okay? So here I go at this here, and go open. All of a sudden, I have a server which is powered off, Sun ZFS storage appliance, which I can start and bring up now. Click OK, and off we go. So it's starting up. So basically what I'm doing now is I'm bringing up Virtualbox, which is a demonstration, which is on a Linux installation, okay? Do I want to bring it up? So it's bringing itself up. So that's, let's say, in a nutshell, how virtualization. It's a very simplified and basic way within which I would like to show you virtualization, how it works, and what you can actually do and why it's so powerful. For the purposes of your assessment, it's quite possible somebody's going to bring up server consolidation. Think of it like this. Let's say we've 40, 50 different servers around. Now we can bring the servers together and put them all under one umbrella right down here. So pretty much from virtualization, what I'm going to do next, I'll click on OK. What I'm going to do, I'm going to shut the other one down because this one will probably be all of a sudden, because this is a little bitty laptop. Obviously, sometimes I wouldn't have the resources to be running my own applications and let's say a server coming up and another server coming up. So it's a bit overkill for my machine. So if I don't shut this down now.
I think it is already sorted.
Yeah, if I don't shut this down now, exit. Thank you. So we're going to bring this virtual machine down, shut down. Click OK. So off we go, we're going to bring this one down. Now, there's another point for virtualization. Some people might turn around and say, what do you mean? I've got all these VMwares. Why should I, let's say, use your Oracle virtualization? How do I convert my VMwares, okay, to a virtualized platform running Oracle? People think that there's a huge migration issue with, let's say, moving from virtualization, okay, to OVM or to whatever it is. Okay, for instance, obviously for, let's say, when we're talking, let's say, Solaris and things like that, there is a bit more tweaking to be done. But when it's pure Windows virtual machines, or virtual machines running on VMware, it's quite literally, I'm just waiting for this system to come. Oh, it did come down already. It's quite literally, where's the virtual thing?
Just on the back.
Oh, it's behind here. No, it's actually after closing itself all the way down, hasn't it?
No, this is with the black screen. Oh, this is the console.
Oh, this. I'm not going to log on to it because it takes up quite a lot of resources. But the point I'm trying to make is that when we go here, where is it? Yeah. When somebody says to you, "Oh, how am I going to, let's say, change how am I going to migrate them across?" These files, these server files would have a name, have an extension name of VMX. You see here, the VMX extension name. See this here? Well, basically, it's literally a process of you change the extension here, you can bring that machine that I just brought up on VirtualBox, for instance. That's how simple it is. It's literally, yeah, I got it. Skip this version. It's literally a change to the extension to the VMX, okay, with a few other commands to run. But it's that simple to migrate from VMware to OVM. Okay, I don't think, let's say, I don't think the message has been put out there when we're talking virtualization. It's become so more and more important. 50% of, or 50% plus 50% of server deployments are now in a virtual world. I mean, and VMware are out there doing, like, say, the Cisco on it, 95% of all deployments. Now that's definitely a market out there where we can, let's say, leverage. Okay, and it's another bit of ammunition we can bring when we're having our sales talks. Okay, now if it's a real VMware advocate, sometimes it's a difficult one to do. But if you can, let's say, show them these simple analogies, I have a file with some screenshots which goes through the process of converting a VMX file to an OVM file, and it literally is. Okay, it's literally he just goes through the screenshots and he goes, "Is that it?" Change a file extension, change a couple of settings, off he goes. So any questions on that? So yeah, just to continue my conclusion of, let's say, the last 2 days. So what did we have? We had pretty much a very interesting and hardcore journey into the world of hardware now. Obviously some of you have been working on hardware before, and it's a difficult one to cover over 2 days, but certainly, let's say, going forward, my advice to you, I'm sure you're all aware because you've been, let's say, dealing with these, let's say, customers and stuff, but maybe some of you are new to, let's say, the hardware and how to, let's say, position and focus. And some, let's say, gotchas that I've experienced working with some of the reps from a pre-sales point of view, so you guys are reps. A few things watch out for. Number one, don't oversell hardware. So if a customer, let's say, needs a 7120 or whatever for storage purposes, and you sell them a 7420, and let's say you turn up 3 years later to the customer and he hasn't even bought a second shelf for that device, the customer's going to turn around and go, "I'm not going to conduct or transact business with you because you wasted money on me in the past." It's a big, important thing. Now, I know your idea is to sell, upsell. It's always a good idea. However, make sure you do the sale and the upsell in the appropriate way, in the appropriate manner. Okay, so for instance, if you're selling servers, obviously, ask the question, can we have some storage? Okay, right? Another, let's say, thing. So those are the options. Because I mean, I've personally been there when, let's say, stuff has been oversold to customers, and some of the customers have got quite abusive because you sell a customer something that's taking out of his budget for an appropriate time in his, let's say, product lifecycle or his IT lifecycle. It could turn around that he needed some other piece of kit within that, let's say, lifecycle, and because you sold him something that he did not need or did not use, okay, you affected him adversely, and he will always remember that. Okay, that's one key takeaway. Another key takeaway would be, I'm going to bring over the whiteboard now in a second, just get rid of this, is just get that ready. Second key takeaway from my own personal experience is try and rely on pre-sales and try and rely on the advice of pre-sales early into a deal as opposed to later on into a deal. Okay? Why is the reason? I'm going to give you an example of something that happened not last quarter to quarter, my own personal. Guy comes up to me, got a great opportunity. And I said, why am I listening to this opportunity? No, it's really good, it's really good, it's really good. We are going to, let's say, go in, we're going to remove IBM from the equation, okay? Now, I kind of gave one of my long stares. I went, we're going to remove IBM from the equation. Okay. I went a bit like this. I said, show me the deal, what's it about? And I very quickly kind of had a look at what they had. And I said, basically we were going to replace an IBM e-commerce suite with basically a option from e-business suite from Oracle. So basically what we were talking about a hardware refresh. We were also talking about the IBM turning around and let's say removing WebSphere, removing AIX, removing DB2, okay? And replacing it with a full Oracle estate, okay? Now I said to the customer, I said to the customer, not to the customer, I said to my colleague in sales, he was gung-ho, he said, this is going to get us, this is going to be 120K a year for the next 5 years for Oracle, okay? That's what it's going to be. It's going to be an initial, let's say, outlay of 240,000 in hardware. Great, yabby-dabby-doo, yabby-dabby-doo. However, I pointed out to my colleague in question and I said, listen, I have a strong suspicion that this customer is getting us to come in and underbid IBM, so they're going to have leverage, so they're going to push IBM's bottom line down. And I think this is too integrated. They've got a history of IBM. They're also using DB2. They have no Oracle products. I don't mind, let's say, working on the deal with you, but you should really have got me involved earlier on, okay? Because you wasted all this time. You could have came to me, and we could have sat down and thought this through logically, okay? So he, let's say, basically, when we're engaging in pre-sales, he basically, we've got a kind of a bit of a graph of how things work. So basically, it's kind of a bit like this. Yep. So whereabouts should you engage pre-sales? Okay. Sorry, that's a bit wobbly, that graph. I'll try and get it a bit, but you got the idea, right? So pretty much, where does pre-sales come in? So let's just make it a bit more generic. Where does it come in? So pretty much this would be, let's say, between here, from the initial, let's say, talk, the initial intelligence gathering, the initial what you've got, this was what we would consider first 10 to 15% of a sales cycle, okay? That's not necessarily where you need pre-sales, okay? Now, however, let's say for some pre-qualifications, we have no problems, let's say, with pre-sales getting on discovery calls or getting on calls initially with the customer. Okay? And then what happens is then you go and gather information for the pre-sales. But for the first 10 to 15% of the cycle, you don't generally need us, but you might need us. We don't mind. We will assist and we will engage. But it's from here that you, let's say, engage pre-sales all the way across to the 70 to 80% of the deal done. Now, the person in question, okay, came to me with the deal at about here, right, before it was going to tender, okay? And I had already explained I was very, very skeptical. And I ran it by my boss, and my boss said exactly what I told you. So that really sounds like this customer's trying to leverage us for a bid just to turn around to IBM and say, sorry, this is what Oracle can offer, you better counter offer. And I remember I sat in here till 7 o'clock on a Friday evening. Who likes sitting in here? You know, in the office, let's say when the weekend's here, and it was actually a long weekend, and working on a proposal, getting a nice documentation to get a nice word, nicely sculpted word, let's say, you know, put a presentation with logos, with everything, put an awful lot of work into it. I spent probably about 3 weeks involved with this opportunity that I knew in the back of my mind was not going to work, okay? So the moral of the story is, please engage your pre-sales people at the appropriate time. And don't be annoyed if you come at this stage in a deal and you go, but it's $1 gazillion and I'm going to go to President's Club, okay? I'm going to get that diamond encrusted Rolex if we get this deal, okay?
Is that new one?
I wouldn't.
This is the oldest direct in the world.
It's the one that I came across most recently, so that's why I'm saying. But you see, I mean, it's not necessarily new. I mean, you know, when I was on the conversations with the customer was very convincing, but I still had that niggling feeling because when I looked at the customer's architecture, I said, this is an IBM house. This is a tough push, a tough sell. And you know, you try and use your, let's say, intelligence, you Google, let's say, had the customer any history of any beef with IBM, so was there an overriding reason, for instance, for the customer to turn around and say, no more IBM, okay? But there wasn't. So what he was doing was engaging our resources, engaging in some respects our consultancy, okay?
Free consultant.
Exactly, free consultancy. That was going to be my third point. Avoid free consultancy, okay? When you're having conversations with customers, all you guys are very knowledgeable, okay? Don't waste your time. Try and pick it up. It's a bit of a let's say, an art, okay? What exactly is this customer genuinely, is this person genuinely interacting with me, or is he looking for free consultancy, okay? That's basically the 3 big gotchas for your continued success in your Oracle career. Thank you very much, guys, and we finished early today. Anyway, have a good evening and best of luck in your careers. And obviously, if you've any need for anything, my details, Dan Grennan at oracle.com. And it was nice to meet you all, and best of luck in your future, okay?